Ladies and gentlemen, next is a session on strengthen Thailand investment opportunities in strategic industries. We are honored to have Dr. Ratchanee Wattanawisitporn, Executive Director of Foreign Investment Marketing Division of Thailand Board of Investment, Thanapol Sirithanachai, Country Chief Executive Officer of Frasers Property Thailand, and Mr. Wiwat Hemmondharop, Vice Chairman of Federation of Thai Industries, to join us on the panel today. Dr. Soraphol Tulayasathien, Senior Executive Vice President of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, will be moderating for this session. FDI and private investment are the key engine for the Thai economy, especially in strategic industries. This session will highlight the latest outlook from policymakers and top capital market executives regarding the latest initiative and progress in Thailand 4.0, and also target industry for uplifting the country's competitiveness. The discussion will also focus on public and private collaboration in EEC, Smart City Project, R&D and human capital development that will drive Thailand to new opportunities and attractiveness. It is my great pleasure to introduce the speaker for this session. Dr. Ratchanee had been working and obtaining experiences in investment promotion in various industrial sectors, including trade and investment supporting office, regional operating headquarters, international process outsourcing, research and development, biotechnology, human resources development, and other related sectors. Mr. Thanapol from Fraser Property has over 30 years in real estate industry. He is responsible for overseeing FPT, which is the first fully integrated real estate platform in Thailand. And Mr. Wiwat is currently Vice Chairman of the Federation of Thai Industry and Chairman of Corporate Communication Division, Federation of Thai Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming all the speakers and our moderator on the stage, please.
Your Excellency Minister, Governor of Bank of Thailand, guests of honors, welcome to the first seminar session this morning. We have heard from the speech by Mr. Finance as well as the Bank Governor, and we are relieved that we do have new hope. The economy start to recover, and there are government policy to support both infrastructure as well as certain key strategic investor industry that we want. We have also heard from the Bank Governor that the monetary policy going forward will be gradual and measured. Yet there are still certain risks that remain. There are many disruptions that can create both challenges and opportunities. And we will hear from the panel today on strengthen Thailand investment opportunity in strategic industries to learn how the Thai industry take advantage and opportune from the environment that we are facing at the moment. So we are fortunate to have many participants from both the public and the private sectors. So may I first have the first question to our representative from the Board of Investment, Kun Ratchanee. Kun Ratchanee, how is the investment situation in Thailand, particularly in the response to the economic reopening? Any specific sector that we are targeting that are coming to Thailand at the moment?
Thank you very much for the questions. First of all, I just would like to begin by looking at some statistics under the BOIs, especially the investment that we receive to the real sector. First, I just would like to show you some slides. So we have to consider what's going to be the total investment that we receive before and during and also after we reopening the economies. So you have seen, some slightly, the increasing trend of the investments before the COVID. Of course, we have received, the total investments that's gone, slightly increased, but it's dropped down in during the COVID time. And it's increased again in 2021 after we start to reopening the economy. And you will see that there will be some positive trend according to this total investment. But again, if you ask us where going to be the most favorable allocations for this investment, of course, EEC still, the target area that we try to attract for of the investment. 1/3 of the total investment has gone to this particular location. And for the top 5 investing target industry, of course, EE is going to be in the leading position, following by the medical, petrochemicals, agriculture, food processing, and also the automotive and parts industry. The next ones, I would like to mention a bit about the foreign direct investment, because this is a key engine for economic growth. And you have seen also is similarly to the total application form that we received. So more than 70% of the investment that we received is come from overseas. And this has been a significant trend also after we, after the post-COVID, especially in 2021. And you might see it's also in 2022, what's going to be the trend of this investment that we received. So most of the FDI sources come from Japan, which is the key, investing country, following by China, Singapore, USA, and also Taiwan. And again, the investing industry, EE, petrochemicals, chemicals, and also the agriculture, food processing, and automotive industry. But I would like to have a look on these statistics, particularly this year. Also, it doesn't complete, till the end of this year, but at the second quarter, we have seen some slightly change in terms of the key leading positions of the industry. You may have been recognized as the automotive and parts has been the number ones of the year, compared to the other industry. And we have seen some, significant also from the tourist industry and biotechnologies that are in this line of the S-curve, and also it's going to be the target industry of the government. And I have to say that behind this application, the government has worked very hard also in order to prioritize some key industry and try to, be more proactive to represent to the foreign investor, to attract them to come and invest in Thailand by offering competitive privileges, and also make Thailand more attractive compared to our competitor in the region. So the government is just realigning that we have to set up the target industry to promote, and also looking to match with the COVID-19 investment atmosphere. So we have to come and realize what should be prioritized, and what we should determine for which industry that should be the top priority one for support. Then I would like to mention a little bit about some key strategic industry in the future. And even this year, we already start to promote also, particularly the BCG. I think from the previous sessions that our Minister of Finance already mentioned a bit about that, and BCG has adopted as our national, agenda. So according to this, Thailand will generate the total value of, this industry up to 4.4 trillion baht, trillion baht, and it accounts around 120 billion US dollar over the next 6 years, and that accounts around 24% of our national GDP. And I would like to say that actually BCG, it doesn't start from scratch, as Thailand has a large food industry, and also we are going in the medical hub and expanding our biochemicals industry, and also a great potentials for renewable energies. So at a point in time, the government come up with the idea that we have to strengthen this industry more by offerings whatever kind of activities or sector that would help Thailand to strengthen our competitiveness. So we would like to invite the investor to come and join us for this particular industry as well. Under the BOIs, we do support, varieties of activities that rankings from agriculture and food industry, and also the biotechnologies, biochemicals, bioplastics, and also the high-tech medical industry, as well as the medical tourism, especially the long stays and also rehabilitation center. That would be the most favorable areas for the foreign investors to come and join us. And the government will provide a wide range of incentives covered from the tax and non-tax incentive, especially the exemptions of corporate income tax up to 13 years. So the next one, which I would like to highlight, and that's going to be the most, promising one for Thailand, the EV, as the government already set up a goal that we should, achieve and be able to produce the net zero vehicle, in Thailand. And that we come up with the policy aggressively that we announced 30-30 vision, which means that we should produce, the EV in Thailand 30% domestically by 2030. And we're going to make Thailand to become, a global production hub also for EV, in also strengthening this, the competitiveness of Thailand. And for this also, I have to say that through our study, Thailand is going to be the first country in ASEAN, to provide a comprehensive policies, especially the demand side stimulations, and as investment promotion, we will support the investor to come and join us in this industry by providing a comprehensive incentive package, particularly the 3 to 11 year of tax holidays to the entire EV supply chain, including the 2 to 4 wheeler, and also the BV platforms, EV parts and component, and also the EV related infrastructure like battery charging station. And additionally, the Ministries of Finance also we provide the additional incentive like the to encourage the demand of EVs, especially the cash subsidies, the lower excise tax, the lower import tax on the important parts and components, and also the significant auto parts. So I just would like to give you some sample that after we relaunched this policy to attract the key strategic industry, there will be a lot of, requirements from the multinational company that they interest, to join us in this industry. For example, Foxconn already partnering with the PTT to set up, the joint venture enterprise to produce the finishing car to the manufacturers using the modular platform and also software developed by Foxconn. And another giant company like Toyota Motors from Japan, the Great Wall Motors, and also BYD has shown interest joining the government incentive program in order to promote the EV sales and productions in Thailand. So that is just a part of our sample that I would like to show you, just to mention about what going to be the key strategic industry after we briefing the economy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kun Ratchanee. I think we have heard a good story that investment is now returning. There are more different set of type of industry that is applying for this year as compared to pre-COVID. And Kun Ratchanee has highlighted two strategic industry that we would like to focus. First is of course BCG. We have heard the number which is very striking that it will be 24% of GDP for the next 6 years. As well as the EV, electric vehicle industry, that I think BOI has a vision of 30 by 30, that is 30% production by 2030. And You also highlight the comprehensive measures, both supply and demand side, that the government has provided to make this happen. So let me now turn to a view from the private sector. May I ask Kun Wiwat from the Federation of Thai Industries that we are still have many challenges ahead. We have COVID, the China situations, the Russia-Ukraine. What has affected the Thai industries, and how have you view the Thai companies adapt?
ขอบคุณครับคุณสรพล Thank you and good morning ladies and gentlemen here. I think that on behalf of the Federation of Thai Industry, we would like to share to you the information regarding to the investment and industry in Thailand. I think that you may getting used to with this page. You know, I think we are now getting used to VUCA word, right? They happen every day, and gonna happen more and more from now on. Actually, it is not just COVID that we have changed. You know, we have faced it. We have faced since digital disruption, trade war, COVID, Russia and Ukraine, and then come into the recession of the world economy and climate change, and just happened now. Just happened few weeks ago that U.S. and China Taiwan crisis, and then its impact to the number of very critical one, that the number of supply chain shortage. You know, for the chip. This is gonna accelerate the shortage of the semiconductor chips, leading to the supply chain shortage. And since that the Thai economy is more than 10 to 20% that we have our export is depend on these sectors. It impact to the automotive sectors. And then the global and for global economic outlook, I may not touch it much because the governor, Bank of Thailand governor has informed you much a lot. But what I would like to inform to you is that the GDP contribution in Thailand, this is the very, I think that we have to pay the attention, you know, to this structure. You know, we have almost 60%, you know, 55 to 60% in the service sectors, about 30%, you know, 32% in industrial sectors, and less than 10% in agricultural sectors. While we have, you may know that more than, it is not alignment with the number of the labor force, with the population structures, you know, for Thai people. What the intention for the Federation of Thai Industry that try to work with the government, Thai government, that we want to leverage the 30%, 32% of industrial sectors, and the 10% of agricultural sector to be to have the relative together to be 40%, which we try to do is agricultural industry. You know, so this is the trend that we are going to discuss furthermore in the second phase, you know, regarding to the BCG. And so when you look at the details of the GDP, you know, in the green color, agricultural products contribute only less than 6%, you know, of the export, you know, to GDP of Thailand. While for the because of Thailand, we have about 60%, 57%, you know, of the export contribution to the GDP, and industrial sector is about 45%. But for agriculture, it's less than 6%. This is I see that this is opportunities. You know, it is a problem now today, but it is opportunities for investment in the future. Yeah, according to our resources. This is much more in details. Let me pass on. Okay. And this is the contribution, you know, for the export contribution. Last year, and the red color is the last year. Last year, you know, the second row, so the motor cars, the parts, and accessories played a crucial role, you know, to be the major contributors, you know, to the Thai economies. But this year, you see the color, the yellow color, the gems, the jewelries, the precious stones become the bigger part. Because of the material, we have a lot of advantage, you know, in terms of material and people and skills, and also a lot of demand income from the overseas. This is very, you know, interesting. However, when you see these trends, you know, you will not see any only from the one on the 7th row, you know, the fresh and frozen and dried fruits only. And then you will not see any related to the agricultural sectors, you know, that will bring our country. On the other hand, we have a lot of valuable resources, you know. We are in the good place, for the diversity, for the diversity of a lot of herbs, a lot of food product ingredients. Then I think that this is very challenging and very interesting, for the investment and investor, to come into this sector. Okay, this is much more in detail. So the last one that I want to mention is that the unemployment. If you see from this table, in the 2019, our unemployment rate is normally about 1, but in this table 2022 is about 1.4 for now today. And if you on your left hand side, you see the table that when you classify by sectors, for industrial sector is about nearly 12 million people. Agricultural sector is about 9 million people, and service sector is about 19 million people. And then if we blend it, our target is to blend the first two rows, 20 million people to work together and to generate the GDP for Thailand. And then the unemployment rate will be changed. Because now today, if you may see like a 1.4% is not high, but if the tendency of the world economy, if we are still in a very old economy now, very old industry now, the tendency of unemployment rate going to be higher and higher. Then this is the time for Thailand to restructure the business to the BCG concept. Yeah. Okay, I will leave this slide. I will talk about this slide and then waiting for the second phase. In Thailand, we have the 45 industry, in the Federation of Thai Industry in Thailand. Altogether, we have 45 industry, 11 clusters. And we have 76 provincial Federation of Thai Industry. And then for the next generation of the industry, we are looking for the new S-curve for the BCG, bio-circular, green economy, and then the climate change economy. So I will come next with the next phase for the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Wiwat. You have highlighted several challenges that is due to the global situation, namely the supply chain, as well as the limitation in the labor force. However, there are some room for opportunities, and you have highlighted, given Thailand's strength in biodiversity, that the agriculture, which is now a small proportion of GDP, can be higher, as well as the opportunity in the new S-curve industries. So let me now turn to Kun Thanapol, because real estate sector is both the supporting factors for all industries, as well as the opportunities for the new growth of Thailand. So please, Kun Thanapol, could you give a picture of the current situation of the property sector in Thailand, and going on into the future, what are the future opportunities and challenges?
Thank you. Yep, thank you, Dr. Soraphol. But before I answer your question, let me briefly introduce you to Fraser Property Thailand. We are part of the Fraser Property Group, the global player real estate, and listed in the Stock Exchange of Singapore. Under Fraser Property, we manage, about $31.5 billion over 20 countries and 70 cities. Being part of the Fraser Group, Fraser Property Thailand, I think we gain some expertise and knowledge and network around the world. And then under Fraser Property Thailand, we have 3 asset classes under one platform, which is residential, commercial, and industrial. For industrial in particular, I think we are the largest market share in terms of the warehouse and logistic space for rent. We have about 3.26 million square meters, both in factory and warehouse business. And recently, we just expand the operation to Vietnam and Indonesia. We not only have, the ready build for factory and warehouse for rent, we are also moving to the build to suit, which is basically building to specific needs of the manufacturer or the operators. And now we are developing the industrial township. Now let me back to your question, what is, the situation, the opportunity market. Let's look at the Thailand property clock, which I think represents the big picture of the market. If we look at the housing, residential, with, I think, the household debt that is rising and also the interest rate and inflation affects or the middle income, which is barely the townhouse, the market is quite stagnant and slow down. But for the single detached house or the high income, for the high sector, is still doing well. For commercial, both retail and grade A office, I think they will face, oversupply situation in the next 2 or 3 years. With the opening of Thailand, the tourist is coming, so the hospitality is gradually picking up. I think for the warehouse and modern logistic property and factory, actually, we still have the strong demand. And factory also, we can see now, that the manufacturer actually buying the land in industrial estate and then start to redevelop the operation. I think for the past 2 or 3 years, the world economy facing lots of challenge, tech and trade war. The US-China has deteriorated relationship. The COVID situation disrupt the supply chain. And recently, the geopolitics actually drive the material costs, energy costs, and actually driving the inflation. However, I think we see the trend of the future logistics and industries improving. We actually see the modern digital economy is start. And then with the COVID situation, the e-commerce is taking the world. It's disrupt all the supply chain. So now to capture this opportunity, I see the demand is coming. So we're not really building the traditional the warehouse or facility. I think we're moving to more technology, smart function, automation, and then buildings more green buildings. The ESG is very important. All our customer coming in, what the first question they ask, whether what we have in the green certificate or facility or not. But if you look from our experience for a couple of years, if you look at the industry that actually coming to our portfolio, electronic and appliance, is moving very fast. I think because of the e-commerce. Not only that, I think the retail and logistic is expanding. The e-commerce, the logistic and e-commerce, is actually taking over. Automotive, for the EV is start coming. I think it would take for a few years until actually the manufacturing coming. For the nationality, I think because of COVID, with the zero COVID policy in China, now people just moving out, and then they realize that they have to diversify the risk by identify, the location that is more support to the supply chain. So the Chinese, manufacturer company actually now expand aggressively. And also Thai, they also expand in logistics, and put more the facility of the warehouse, following by the Singapore and US. So again, just give you for example, when we building now, not only just the warehouse, the facility, we actually build it more specifically. We're building the cold chain facility. We actually put in the robotics, and also fulfilling e-commerce facility. We also building another facility for their employee also. We're building the canteen, we're building the even the sport facility, co-working space. So I think to moving forwards to capture all this high demand, I think we need to work more and then to support this, our facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Khun Thanapol. I think we are seeing very interesting trend in property also. You mentioned about logistics is now adapting to new trend, be it e-commerce, be it green, be it the moving logistics from China, which is one other factor that we are seeing. So from the first round, we have heard from all the three speakers about the current situation and the industry that we want to go to, as is and to be. In the second round, I would like to start asking our representative from BOI, going from here to there, how we will do it. So please, if you can give us the picture of the investment promotion policies that can bring us from as is to be.
I think this is very important questions right now because after the countries has reopened, so the governments have worked very hard throughout the years, come up with policies. We set up some guideline, according to this, that some of these measures has been using already for a couple of years. But also we just come up with the new designs of the policies in order to put more efforts for the country in terms of making Thailand more attractive for the foreigner. So this is some sorts of the policy directions that we use, currently, and some also is going to be, present, in the upcoming, month. I will just, grab some of these policy measures according to 4 different areas. So the first is the measure to stimulate the investments. Of course, previously I already mentioned about BCG, right? So this is going to be our strategic one that we're going to continue to accelerate and invite more investment choice. And also the next one, we got some kind of plan that going to use Thailand as the International Business Center, using Thailand as the regional hub for some sort of things, whatever kind of industry that the multinational company can, use the benefits of this country as a strategic location. And also another one which is very important, as the speaker already mentions a bit about how to improve the efficiencies of the company by, digitizing and also the automate in terms of production process. And BOI still insists on it. The second area which we would like to highlight is to provide some support on the sustainability and also the innovations, which is very important. So we, have some kind of measure to encourage the startup, which I will, mention the next slide also. And also we shouldn't forget about the sustainability and decarbonization. So that's why we have put these sorts of political aspect also in the EV and also some kind of BCG's industry. So next one, how to strengthen the investment ecosystem. This is very a key message that we have to deliver to the investor if they come to Thailand. So what sorts of things that the government can provide for them? So we come up with the new policy measure, so-called long-term residence visa. This is a kind of a quick win strategy. We know that we got some shortage of the skills manpower, but it's a kind of how can we develop them in the short periods of time? Of course not. So we just cut off by inviting the talent workforce through this channel. And also to develop the Thai human resources, that is another strategy parallel with attracting the talent, manpower coming directly to Thailand. But we have to develop them in terms of how to, in terms of skills or reskills, whatever kind of program that we're going to provide for them. And another one, which is very important, if we get some complaint from the foreign investor, so how we help them in terms of, take some kind of shortcut and helping them when they're facing the inappropriate law and regulation. The last area is to provide a full facilitation to the investor, strengthen up our image of the country, making Thailand to be the investment environment, to the investor. So we already start to improve ourselves as the investment promotion agencies. We already provide some e-services, in terms of cut off times and costs for the investor during the COVID time, and we continue to do that. In terms of organizing submission to overseas, so we organize, in our office and also meeting with the key investor online. And if the time is variable, so we just, provide admission and go abroad. So the next one, which I would like to get into details, and I think this is the right time that I have to speak on this, the long-term residence visa. I think you have heard about the smart visa that the government already provides for, I think, since we start the Thailand 4.0 to, provide full facilitations to the foreigner that they would like to come and work in Thailand. But that's going to be like just only 4 year maximum. This one we provide up to 10 years. So that's why we call it long-term residence visa. And this is going to be launched on the 1st of September this year. This is quite new because we plan to attract 4 group of the investor. The first one is wealthy global citizens, the wealthy pensioner, the work from Thailand, professionals like a digital nomad, the one that they would like to work and also at the same time join life, in some particular tourist destination, and also the high skills professional. And this also include their dependents, like family, spouse, children, those sort of things. The BOI provide, the benefits attached to long-term resident visas, for example, give the permission for them to work in Thailand. And also the yearly report instead of 90 working day that they normally submit, exemptions from the 4-to-1 foreign ratio of employment, and provide some special personal income tax, of the 17% limit for the high skills professionals. And the government believe that through this long-term resident visa, it's going to make Thailand more attractive to become a regional hub for living and doing the business, especially for the highest potential foreigner. The next one, we shouldn't forget, about the human resources development. So that's why the government has come up with how we can develop, the capabilities of our manpower. So we setting up a platform for a high skills workforce development. So BOI is collaborated with the Ministries of Higher Education, the research and also innovation to set up this platform in order to strengthen up the manpower in 3 different groups, upskill, reskills, co-creations, and also the industrial training center, in order to produce the engineer and also scientists up to 10,000 persons a year. And according to this, also the BOI will support by providing a training grant for them. So it is very important also that before, it's a kind of change. The role of the investment promotion policy before we provide just only the physical incentive. But now there is some kind of change to provide financial support to the company. So according to this, is for anyone who would like to apply to this program, any companies, so they have to be approved, by the Ministries of Higher Education, the Research and Innovations, to get, the maximums of the training grant, 100,000 baht, per person. So one company can get a maximum 5 million baht. And this training course must be complete within 2 years. So that is a kind of a financial support from the government. Last but not least, I would like to highlight for this supporting measure, especially to the startup. So we know that we have to, secure our competitiveness. Startup also is very important, as I already mentioned earlier. So the government will provide support through, a 10 billion baht fund under the competitiveness enhancements of the BOI. So for any successful candidates, we receive a maximum 5 million baht in the financial assistance through the personal wages. So this is very important because we would like to, strengthen up the company in this startup area, subject to the target industry, especially BCG and also the S-curve under the Thailand's policies. So I think that's all for the investment promotions measures right now that I would like to present. But actually, there are going to be some more. But we're going to have also set up a new investment promotion strategic plan in next year for the next 7 years. That we're gonna give some directions in order to make Thailand more attractive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khun Ratchanee. We have seen the picture that how to get there. It's not only the BOI support for both demand and supply side, but we have support to attract talent to Thailand. Either the long-term residence program that allow a long-term working permit reduced personal income tax to only 17%, much lower than the normal rates, as well as incentive to train the personnel within the organization, as well as the incentive to attract startup. So I think we are moving not only the hard support but also the soft side support on personnel. So this is very interesting. So let me now turn to the Federation of Thai Industries. We have heard how the government will support. Can you tell us more on how the private sector aim to support new kind of industries going forward?
Thank you. According to my previous presentation that I have shown to you that the perspective of Thai industry and then the opportunities, for the future investment. Actually, we are the best. We can say that Thailand, Thailand is the best for manufacturing. We are second to none, from anywhere in the world. It has been shown for many years. We have a lot of succeed in terms of quality, productivity, and a lot of human capitals, for the manufacturing. But by the way, we are looking for some value-added or some new S-curve, that will transform our country in the proper structures. And you already heard from BOI that Thailand is really, have a lot of attractiveness, for the investor to come in. And then what industry, what should be the sectors that you're gonna invest? I have mentioned about that page before. So we are now having a 12 targets. We have a new S-curve and the first S-curve and a new S-curve. You may know, heard about this one, from the government policy that we have for the first one, for the value-added one, that is the next generation for automotive. We have talked about the EV, about the 30-30 policy, 30% of the EV cars in the 2030, very soon now, and then the scheme have been implemented very aggressively, from the government as well as the private sectors. We are very eager, to be the centers of EV cars, in this region. And second one, that intelligent electronics. We are, because of the shortage supply of the semiconductor industry that gonna come in soon. We see that these are the opportunities. Now the Federation of Thai Industry working together with the Thai government and some investor from overseas that try to setting up, that Thailand to be the hub, for semiconductors in the future. It might take years, but when it happens, it's gonna earn more and more, And for the third one, that high value added from the medical tourism that you may heard about this topic in this afternoon. We no doubt that a lot of, I would say that a lot of best hospitals in Thailand, are suitable, for the multinational, for the foreign patients as well, not just for Thailand. So this is the best, for the medical tourism. The fourth one is advanced agricultural and biotechnology. We are now focused more and more on the smart farming, but that is just normal one. And I think that everywhere in the world, you have this technology. But the differentiation is that Thailand, we are the good place for biodiversity. When we have the biodiversity, if you can choose the proper herbs, the proper species, the proper plants, and you have enough big data, because some you may have the big data for corn, we have the big data for the bean, but you may not have the big data for biogafala, that is the medicine. So, but in Thailand, we are the country of the biodiversity. You can leverage our strength on this one. Food and for the future, there's no doubt, that we are talking about the novel food nowadays. When you talk about the novel food, it is just not the normal food. It's coming novel food, like a protein from insect, right? Plant-based protein and high intensive vitamin, comprehensive vitamin. This kind of thing that it use blended leverage technology between the farming and some chemical and some the biorefinery, then you can come with the proper one. I will show you later on about this information for the smart agriculture industry. The sixth one is for the value shift. After value added, then we have to have the value shift This is for the Thai industry. The sixth one is automation and robotics. No doubt that the human resources and the workers going to be limited, and not just the number, not just the quantity, but also the quality for the speedy. So I think that the robotics become more and more play the crucial role for the manufacturing. Aviation and logistics, Thailand going to become the, before COVID, and after COVID, then post-COVID, we're going to become the aviation and logistics centers, for this region. The biofuel and the biochemical, we are now talking more and more about the biochemical, clean chemical. We try to use more and more clean concept to the chemical. And in the Federation of Thai Industry, we have the industry that can support this one. For digital and medical, and then the defense industry, education. I want to focus on this is Dr. Ratchanee has mentioned about to you about the EV, EV development. This is a roadmap in Thailand. This is a very aggressive one, that we're going to be from 26 to 2030s, with 30-30 policy, we can have a 30% of our vehicle, become EV cars. Yeah. This is the pictures of the bioeconomy when you are talking about where and what that in your life, from left to right, from bioplastic, we are moving from petrochemical industry to be bioplastic. We have biofuel, we have medicine, biomedicine, we have the cosmetic, a lot of flowers, a lot of fragrance in Thailand that can become the strength, for cosmetic industry in Thailand. A lot of additive can be support for the medicine industry in Thailand. Novel food, the fabrics, biochemical, biofertilizer. When you're talking about the smart farming, we are talking about you really need biofertilizers. And biofertilizers nowadays, they are not much efficient in terms of effectiveness of the result that they give to the productivity and also the costing. But if we can have the advanced technology to develop, then and we have enough scales, then it can become more and more advantage in the future. And this is what I would like to mention to you that about the smart agriculture industry. Sorry that there's some ties here. This is the whole picture, integrated picture of the smart agriculture industry. It becomes from smart agricultural plus smart industry, and then it becomes smart agriculture industry. It is the demand base. When you do a lot of smart agriculture, you give more supply to the world. Sometimes you cannot, most of the time you cannot command the pricing. But if you add on some demand from the industry, and it is a demand driven, then you produce, you plant what the market needs, then it's going to become the more value. And with the smart industry, it's going to add value to you. For example, this one is integrated fortified industry of the Federation Thai Industry. From right to left, from above that you can see the cold storage and warehousing. We had a lot of group of industry like air condition, and a gas industry that can help support, to make it more efficient. On the right-hand side, on the second one, you have logistics and packaging. We have the plastic packaging, we have the packaging cluster, and we have the design cluster, and also we have the logistic cluster that can support, to get efficiency for these types of this area. Renewable energy, no doubt that Thailand have a lot of advancement in terms of technology for renewable energy. Smart greenhouse, this is very crucial one, that how to make it more efficient and the lowest investment, for the farmers, for the agricultural sectors. We had a lot of the sectors involved, like construction cluster. We have the chemical structure, and we also have the I would say like the herbs and the medicals in this one that can give us some data, the demand, and the smart architect and the crops, agricultural machinery, product processing. We can have regarding to the demand, like novel food demand, biochemical demand, biofuel demand, biomedical demand, biofabric demands. Then it comes to the product processing with the R&D, proper R&D and the manufacturing base that we are here in Thailand. Then we can add value on that. And the last one is about the environmental issues like water resource management, that how can we have the proper one, on this area. This is how we call like a smart agricultural industry, and I think that this is going to be the change agent, for Thai economy in the future. Okay, the rest is quite more in details. If any further question, I can come back again. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kap Kun Wiwat. I think beside our representative from BOI has highlighted manufacturing sector, the EV, FTI, Federation of Thai Industry also highlight smart agriculture, which is very interesting because it's based on the core strength of Thailand biodiversity, as well as there's an opportunity to grow forward because currently agriculture is only a small proportion of the Thai GDP, but involved with many of the labor force. Kun Thanapol, we have heard from BOI and Federation of Thai Industries many keywords on innovation, on smart city, on logistics. Can you please tell us about what are the opportunities forward after you hearing stories about smart city, economic reopening, and how Fraser has dealt with these opportunities?
Yeah. Thank you. And of course, I think from now, in the future, we cannot build the stand-alone facility. I think we have to build the communities, or maybe the smart communities. Let me explain what I mean by that. I think if I give the example of this, supply chains, economies. I think with the disruption, of course, with the situation, with the COVID and the digital economy, if we look at the traditional of the supply chain, the factory, produce goods, the goods go to the warehouse for storage, and then move from warehouse to the retail shop, and wait for the customer final purchase. But now the customer, put the order online. And then the online demand actually go directly to the warehouse. So now the warehouse is not just become only the storage anymore. I think it's now become the operation, it's become the sortation center, it's become the fulfillment facility. And then that's why I say we need to put more smart technology. We have to put automation, robotic, or even look in terms of the welfare benefit of the people who working there also. So this is just give you example now. The warehouse has become more the center of gravity. It's become the center of the operation, which we need to build the support facility and infrastructure to support it. And I think we need in terms of industrial, and logistics. That's why we're actually moving from traditional warehouse and factory, which is ready built. But of course, there's some demand on that, because some urgent or short-term requirement. But I think we're moving to the build-to-suit facility, tailor-made, facility, the cold chain storage, the fulfillment center. And also, we need to strategically located near the consumer. In the past, we probably, located near the warehouse, the factory. Now we're moving closer to the city for the last mile delivery. And also sustainability, is more important. We're gonna build the community, the township that actually support even the new economies and also the environment. In other words, I would say we need to build the integrated real estate, which is also not only one asset class, it has to be integrated. Let me give also another example that we try to develop. We have a plot of land, the big one actually is for about 4,000 rai on Bang Natrat, but unfortunately it's not in the ECC. But it's strategic location between the Suvarnabhumi Airport and the Lam Chabang Deep Sea Port. And what we plan to do actually is a long-term, development also, but I think we have to carefully put the jigsaw together. The warehouse, the logistic, manufacturing, of course, the business park to support the new economy, the startup. We also, have to plan for the residents to attract new talents. We also plan the retail business, which have to be integrated. And I'm glad, the BOI, also the government actually come up with a lot of incentive. And this will definitely help in terms of, foster and then make the factory or the company actually growing as the times go by. So we have to really careful on the infrastructure. We have to plan for the environment, the landscape, the green. All the building now we have the LEED certificate. We have to use like a renewable energies. And we also study into how we can actually getting more the international company actually coming in. But this is just the example of the industrial or logistic. But I think the same is true for others, real estate development. For example, if you look in the city, the urban development now is become more mixed-use development. You're not going to see the standalone office, but now you're going to have office mixed with residential, mixed with the retail and the hotel. And all have to support each other. It has to be city in the city. If you look into the medical or healthcare, I think we have seen the trend. You're not going to see the people building hospital alone. Now the announcement, they're going to be mixed use with the hotel, service apartment. So it's going to become the welfare, the wellness center. It's not become only the hospital anymore. So I think in order to going forwards and capture and for the opportunity for the investor to come, I think the Bank of Thailand governor have said we have to prepare all this financial infrastructure to support the business. I think in terms of real estate or the infrastructure, we need to prepare the support facility to support the investor coming also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think from this morning we have heard the Minister of Finance say that the economy has recovered. We have heard from the central bank governor say that going forward, despite the remaining risk, the monetary policy will be country-specific, will be gradual, and will be measured in accordance to what matters to Thailand. I think we do have hope. And we have hope not only because we can dream, but we can have hope because we can do. We have heard from this session that there are many better investment climate in Thailand at the moment. Our colleague from BOI, Dr. Ratchanee, has said that there are more and more investment applications than ever. And very interestingly, there are newer industries that are coming. We have pointed out that where we want to go, and we have here quite specific that there are two industries that Thailand want to promote, which is BCG as well as EV. And the number I repeat is very striking. BCG is 24% of GDP in the next 6 years, and EV is 30 at 30, so 30% production by 2030. And this message is repeated not only in the public sector, but also by Kun Wiwat on the Federation of Thai Industry. So we both go in sync. So not only we can dream, but we can do. We also heard how the companies have adapted, not only the company in the federations, but also the real estate sector that have adapted to new trends. Smart real estate, smart city, logistics that are not only moving toward closer to consumers, but being more green and supporting industries such as newcomers. So this afternoon, just to give you a preview, you will hear more specific on 3 sessions that are highlighting the emerging, as my president say, the new old and the new new. There are some new in the traditional industries, like food tech. Kun Wiwat mentioned about plant-based meat. The new kind of tourism, which is supported by the government policy on the long-term residents, digital nomad, as well as the trend that are up and coming, which is on sustainability. But before that, we will hear from the Thai Bangkok governor after the session on the reopening of Bangkok. So on this note, I would like to thank our panelists, Dr. Wattanawisitporn from the Thai Board of Investment. Please give her a hand. Mr. Wiwat Hemmondharop from the Federation of Thai Industries, and with Mr. Thanapol Sirithanachai from the Frasers, Thailand. So this concludes the first session of this morning, and as my president say, may the Thailand Focus be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much all the panelists for a very interesting and informative session.